love your hair, Garlia. I used to have locks for 10 years.
I've done the cut.
Yep.
You know, they've been like super long to where it's like so heavy. I'm really thrilled that we get to, you know, touch the base a little bit in the midst of this festival, which feels like, for me, I see so many things moving. I'm seeing all the moving pieces, so it feels like a very exciting big thing. And I think stepping into some of the rehearsal spaces and getting to meet everyone is, you know, I don't think as a mom I've yet had the experience of being in a space with Black women who are artists and moms, not just like two, and there's a group of us.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious, like, what has this process been like for you to step into these rooms and to go through this?
Yeah, you know, I think I've been in spaces with other Black women, creative spaces, and I didn't know everyone's mommy status or not, marital status, anything. And maybe a few people I knew, but to know that we all are moms and we all are creatives, and we write these stories in spite of being moms, because I remember when my kids were really little and how I would put them to bed and then I would have time to write, or I would have time to teach because I also teach. And so I would go downstairs, turn on my computer, because this was my time. The daytime was for them. I was a stay-at-home mom for many years, but I still created even though I was a stay-at-home mom. So despite that. And so that's very empowering to know that there are other moms out there doing the same and have done the same. And now we can come together and we can show this work we've done in secret, this work we've done at night, when we can steal a few, you know, hours away, and now we can present it to everyone. And so that's very empowering to know. And it also validates that I'm not alone in what I do, and I'm not alone in what I feel about my writing, because writing is a solo endeavor for the most part. So for us to all come together, that's great. It's what we need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that moment that you're talking about, excuse me, just being having to wait until the kids are asleep, and or trying to adapt them. I know for me, I wrote a lot when my kids were born, and my daughter was born. I thought, how am I going to write plays, you know? So I wrote more essays at that time on my phone, like on my iPhone. I remember
Really?
an iPhone, and I was like, okay, this is good. You know, I love apps and whatever technology is available to make something easier. I definitely gravitate there. And so I just remember making, you know, writing essays on my phone, but that whole idea of having to wait until they're down for a nap or a sleep, and you know, I think is such a big part of why this festival matters to because I feel like Black parents who write need a little bit more time and a little bit more resources in order to get their their plays out there, in order to get their plays written, you know. It is a time-consuming process, and mental time too,
Yeah,
I think. Uh,
right. A
yeah,
labor of love, though.
it is. No, it absolutely is. And so speaking of this play, I want to know a little bit more about it, and I've been able to hear you speak a little bit about the okay characters and where they came from, and your relationship to them, and I love for you to share that here about your play.
Yeah. Yeah, so 30, it's really almost autobiographical in the sense that that's my great grandmother, who's the main character, and that's my mom, and that's my aunt and my mother. And it was that whole tradition in many Black communities where if you do have to put your loved one into a nursing home, you don't forget about them. And my great grandmother, I remember her fondly because she was there and I was in the same space with her, even though I was young, maybe like 10 or 12, when I would go. Not only think I was 12, I might have been around 9 or so. My mom would take me to the nursing home to visit her. And I just remember how the three of them, my mom, my aunt, and my cousin, had this schedule where they would go and take care of my great grandmother. And so my mom would take me with her, and she couldn't leave me at home. And so her Saturdays, I would go with her. And the camaraderie that they had, I didn't understand it then. It's as I'm older now, I just feel, I don't know, I felt compelled to write about it. This, I don't know, this story of just love and care and caregiving, you know. And all of them were moms. My mom, my aunt, my grandmother, and my great grandmother. They were all moms. And so, how they were able to juggle this schedule with having kids, was also something that inspired me too. So, that's the story. So, it's autobiographical in that respect. Now, what comes out of my story that I've created, there's parts of truth and imagination in there. But at the core and the essence of it, it's really about a family, a generational family of caregivers and what that means and how they have this scheduled love time with their grandmother. And then as a young girl, I'm 9. I mean, I get to see and know my great grandmother, if not just for a moment. I knew her, and she was very soft spoken, but I remember she'd give me candy. Uh, I just remember she would, call me a pretty girl, things like that, very endearing. So that's where it came from.
And is this something that you'd been is it and is this something that you'd been working on for a long time, or I know that you had more of the play written, so
Yeah. So when I saw your call for this festival, I had probably had about 20, maybe almost 30 pages written. So I submitted the first 10, like you asked. And then and I think I had also done some more revisions here and there. I don't quite remember, but I know when I was accepted as a finalist, I was like, oh, I better step my game up with this. So I actually had an opportunity to have some friends with the Black Theater Network, which I'm a member of. They had a book club and they chose a play. And so it was about 10 of us in the Zoom, and they read it and they gave me feedback. And so I just went back to the drawing board and started doing some more of this. And that's what we have now that's going to be read. So
yeah.
I would say the whole process, oh, it's writing, you start, you stop. So maybe a couple years of starting and stopping with the play. Yeah.
Yes, I have played, started and stopped, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. It's called life,
It's
you
called like
it's called life.
kids and all of those things too.
Yeah.
Hmm. And so I think if we think, how are your children integrated into your art making? Do they know that you write play plays and teach? You know,
Yeah.
like how do they feel about it? You know, I know, you know.
Well, I have teenagers in this house with me. There are, I have three daughters.
So they have thought.
And yes, three daughters.
Lots of fun.
Two are twins. And so they're very much aware of what I do. They're very encouraging. I try to take them to any readings I have. They went with me to California for a reading once. They know I talk about it. Yeah, they're very invested in what I do. I just had a reading of a play for a commission in Houston, Texas, and they did a small audience to come and watch. And so they were in here with me watching it on Zoom. And so I try to include them as much as possible. So they're very aware. And again, they're very supportive. I, I think also too that they have their own lives and their own agendas and things. So they do know some of the frustrations I've had to endure because I'm very open with them. You know, I'm thinking about this. This didn't work out. I didn't get this. I don't know. You know, and they try to offer words of hope and encouragement. So they're my cheerleaders. They are.
That's sweet. That's sweet.
Yeah.
And so I'm I kind of want to backtrack a bit because I don't think I asked you this, but how did you get on this journey of writing? Like, what made you start? Was it something in your childhood? Did
Mm,
you start to write as a child,
hmm.
or how did you get here to be?
Yeah, yeah. So yes, that childhood epiphany that, oh, I like writing and things. But if I backtrack, really my mom really exposed me and introduced me to written word. I remember when I was in high school, even before, we used to play Scrabble a lot when I was 9 or 10. And we didn't really follow the rules. I remember I used to look in the dictionary for words, but that's how I learned words. So if I didn't know how to spell something I was going to put on the Scrabble table, she would say, look it up. And so I think all of that searching and discovery of words in the written language, it started then. And my elementary school had a hobby fair, and I submitted a short story about some birds in a tree. I created this whole family, Mr. Bird and Mrs. Bird, and all the baby birds. And I wrote these stories about them, and it's kind of a little series. And I won. And so, writing for me was more like, oh, that's fun, that's creative. And so I just did that in high school. I would write for the school paper. I was a broadcast journalism major in college. I really enjoyed more so the writing part than the speaking and on air part. Went to grad school and got a master's in English and teaching and all that. Now, the playwriting happened later. It was first, I wrote a novel. I wrote a novel in 2012. And then I wrote a short play, kind of fell through. But really, what inspired me was the election of President Obama.
Mhm.
When he was elected, I was really, because I love older characters in the Black community. I have many plays where there's always one or more older characters. And so I was very inspired by the impact of his election on the older Black community. Um, and from there, I thought I saw it in play form, something in play form on stage. Maybe I saw it there first before I wrote it. And so I just started, doing this and seeing what I could get. Um, Decided I'm doing this, but I don't know structure and form. I don't know what goes where and all this. I'm just writing this. So I decided to join the Chicago Dramatists Theater here in Chicago. They have a network playwrights group. And if you had a play in progress, you could take these courses and it helped. So that's how it started. I had an idea. I saw something on a stage. I wrote some things, didn't know how to shape it, structure it, took a class. And I took a couple courses with it. And they helped me to develop it. And they really like my voice.
Mm.
They really like my characters. They like the message. And that's really where it began. And so from there, I've just written more, and I'm still developing. I'm still figuring it out with the readings, with festivals like this. And so that's how the journey began. And now we're here.
And now and you have, I believe you have, we aren't going to, you know, um, present the entire thing, but I believe
Yeah.
you have 60 pages now. Like you've been
Yeah.
really
I
fl-
just keep writing.
which I think is great. And just to say the whole purpose of this festival, we are really focusing on the development time of the play. So you had
Yeah.
from December until April to really shift that play. I mean, we could have gotten into trouble. People could have added 5-6 characters, and then I would have been like, wait,
Right.
I don't
Right.
know.
Reel it back. Reel it back.
But that's really exciting, and we do hope that there are partnerships that come out of this in
Mm,
real life. That
yeah.
the really beautiful thing about these partner theaters, all led 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 by moms, and there's Black moms on every single elite elite leadership team of all of our partner
Yeah.
theaters. And so that is very exciting, I think, just to take it in, like all I have to do is
Yeah.
look at that image and to think that's really cool.
That's some Black girl magic for you, I'm telling you.
That's what it feels like to me. It just makes you just get it's very emotional, because I
Yeah.
think we are all in spaces that are not all Black all the time, and in particular creative spaces. And so
Hmm.
to find a space where we do where we can just engage, and I think also feel like we are understood. Like there's a level of understanding that we get right when you enter the door. There's things you don't have to explain.
Yeah. It's a look you can give, like,
Like, right.
or whatever. And everybody's like, yeah, I got you. I feel you. And also your characters and your story, other Black women in those spaces, they get it. They identify, they understand. So yeah, totally, totally understand what you mean.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think, well, like, what I think we talked a little bit about this, but maybe you can refine it. What has your process been so far? Because at this point, you haven't yet entered rehearsals, but how have you kind of felt about this process as you've been through it, just as a general note?
Yeah. I'll say this, Garlia. You all are so professional. Amber, everyone. I mean, just so professional. It's like I didn't really know what to expect. I remember there was a lag period between the time we were notified that we were finalists to something starting. And so I think I sent an email once saying, "Hey, hello, are we starting? What am I supposed to be doing?" And so I didn't know. And then from the moment you all said, "Okay, we're ready," it's just been one professional follow through, just quality festival, quality production. And so I feel very honored to be a part of it. I feel as if I can trust you all with my work, with the journey that I'm taking as a playwright with my work. I mean, to know that theaters like Oregon Shakespeare Festival and St. Louis Repertory and Detroit Public Theater, want to even be a part of this with, I'm sure Cynthia and Eureka and all of them, they may have some notoriety. We're all working our way up. I'm here in Chicago and writing and getting my work out there. And it's like, I don't know if these same theaters would have um, listened or opened the door at this point. I don't know. I'm sure eventually, but it's like to be in your company, to be riding on the coattails of this festival so that I can have access is just an opportunity that I'm honored by and grateful. So it's been wonderful. It really has. And so I love that first meeting with Hannah and Dawn and everyone, Bex and all them, and how we talked about, and Hannah seemed very excited about my work and wanting to do whatever she can to support it. So it's just, every time I get an email from Amber, I'm just like, oh, what is it? Okay, I'm excited. Like, all right, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? I don't want anyone saying, Miss Melda, where's your stuff? What you do? No, I'm going to stay on top of it because you are staying on top of it. So I'm honored.
Well, no, and that means a lot. And I, I think something that's really cool is we were very focused on a black exclusive budget too. So all the team is black, and so that also, I mean, that's like what the work I've been doing for so many years,
Wow.
and so just to have that, I think is just really really important, especially now. Um, so I think just to have that is really important, especially now.
Yeah.
And when you were talking about theaters not really taking of notice, and the amount of time it might take for a theater to take notice, i I also think of the the parenting journey, and how we don't often have the ability to just block out everything and say, don't talk to me, I'm going to write my a play. And so it is important to give access to parents, just because the amount of time, which we did speak about, but it just takes a little bit more time to get that play, to get them to get that script of, done. And so we often think about how long after that script is done will it then take for someone to take notice.
Yeah.
So I hope that this festival raises enough to give an award that is a that is a substantial amount, so that the parent can just stop and
Mm-hmm.
get the childcare that they need, so that they can write,
Yeah.
because part of being a parent artist is also needing resources to take care of your children, so that you can focus on your art. And a different age, when they're smaller, when they're older, that sort of childcare means different things. But
Right.
you know
Right. Right.
it gets me emotional. The I the I stutter more when
You think about it.
means a lot
Yeah. Yeah.
to 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 me. And I just think think about this jour- journey that so many of us are on, with our work and our plays, and also about balancing life and te- teaching too. I know that you also teach. I also teach. I think that's something many of us do to balance out and to still create too. So
Yeah, Virginia Woolf said a woman needs a room of her own. And so these type of festivals and what money comes with it, it can allow a woman to create a room of her own. In my own home, I've been able to do that. I've been able to carve out this office space for me, which is nothing but a guest bedroom. But I've just taken what I have and I say, okay, maybe I can get me a desk now. I can have a light. I can have a printer, where I didn't have a lot of these things before. I would write at Panera and Whole Foods. I would get there when they opened and I would stay until they closed. I'd have lunch there and I would set up because it was free for me to do so. And I would create in those spaces. I love the ambiance of them, but I used to always sometimes sit and say, man, I would love an office where I can do this. I don't have to come here, And so every little opportunity I get, like festivals or award for something, I always put it back into that room of my own so I can create, and that's been a huge blessing. I close this door and everybody knows, unless you're on fire or you're bleeding, you don't come in this door. They already know because this is mom's time. This is her time and space. So that's been awesome.
And that is so important to also teach our children, especially our daughters, that they can have their own space and that they can have their own time and they can say, nope,
that's right.
For me.
That's for me.
I will see you in a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back and I'll be a better parent because I had some time.
That's right. You want the parent before, you want the one after this session?
You want the parents before? I know. My kids are smaller, so they're,
okay.
That I'm not sure if that really exists, but I try, but it just doesn't really work. And they come and they pop on to meetings, but there are times that they say that they go off and they create their own things. They're both very artistic, and so they will just say, I need to do this, and they just go and sit and do it, and I'm like,
yeah, you're setting the example for them. Right.
What did I do? Oh man, what's gonna happen now? They're in the theater. Oh boy, long road. Oh goodness, Melda. Well, this is so great. I'm so glad we got a chance to catch up here. And I can't wait for everyone to see your play, or I believe when this airs, they will have seen it. So I'm so glad they will have seen it and gotten to know you a little bit more in this journey to when you speak about going into different spaces to write. I remember even when my kids were small and you had them and then someone else was taking care of them for a little bit, and maybe if that was a thing, if they would let you go and you would go and wait, and it's like, oh, there's people, an adult, and they get to write.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It is a real thing. I remember when I went back to work after being home, I was like, oh, there's an adult. It's such a different experience being around adults all the time.
It is.
Oh,
yeah.
You can understand me.
Right. So. Yes, I've been there, done that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this. Thank you for a beautiful play. I cannot wait for it to air.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it so.
All
righty. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.